Flag still stands for freedom, and they can't take that away. And I'm proud to be an American, where at least I know I'm free. And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me. And I gladly stand up next to you and defend her still today, 'cause there ain't no doubt I love this land. Sing it, God bless the USA.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Central Valley Talk. My name is Ray Johns. I'm your host, and the name of the show is Ray Johns American Patriot. I've missed you guys. I've been away for a while, business-wise with my mobile home business, and I'm back, and I'm so very glad you're with me. You know, I had a couple of calls about the American Patriot that I do every week, and a couple of weeks ago I got a call from a friend that I know that teaches school in Madeira, and she wanted me to talk about Molly Pitcher, and if you recall, we did that once, and so I wasn't going to do that. And then I got a call yesterday from somebody that asked about, they couldn't remember her name. So we're gonna make Molly Pitcher our American Patriot for today. Molly Pitcher was involved in the Revolutionary War. In fact, her husband was fired the cannon. And the way she got her name, Molly Pitcher, which is not her real name, she actually went and had it changed because so many people knew her as Molly Pitcher. And there's a park and a statue named after her in New Jersey. It's called Pitcher Park. And if I'm ever back there, and I'm sure I will be, I want to go see that and take pictures with that statue because I think this lady is phenomenal. She really is. She's one of those people that movies should probably be made from. She's just a great, great American patriot. Anyway, her story goes like this. Her husband fired the cannon, and she would bring pitchers of water and cool off the cannon and also pitchers of water for the troops. And so she was very, very valuable. One day her husband was injured. He was shot in the leg, and she actually took over the cannon and fired the cannon at the British and ended up doing it for the rest of the war. She was never really commissioned into the service, but she fought the rest of the war. Well, after the war, George Washington awarded her several medals. And she was the first woman to receive a stipend at $40 a month for the rest of her life. It's one of those stories that a film should be made out of. So, once again, our American patriot, Molly Pitcher. And my other favorite American patriot is back here with us today is Gary McGill.
How we doing,
Ray? Back, buddy.
Well, it's good to be back.
We've been talking before the show, and I know because I've gotten a lot of emails and texts today about Mattis. And so we're going to talk about Mattis today. Gary just enlightened me, and it makes sense what he said, and I want you to listen to what he has to say about Mr. Mattis and the difference between Trump's point of view and his point of view. It makes sense. I mean, let's take this for instance. I mean, when's the last time you heard of ISIS? Mattis served his purpose. We got completely rid of ISIS, right, Gary? Completely. You don't hear of them anymore. And it's like I said in a couple of shows ago, I walked into a Fresno State football game where there are 40,000, and my first thing on my mind, this is a few years back, was, oh my gosh, I hope those idiots, this would be a perfect place for those ISIS idiots to strike, would be a place like this. I don't think about that anymore, because ISIS is gone, thanks to Donald Trump, thanks to Mattis,
Yeah, and Mattis is military, and he's actually part of the military mindset, or put another way, what has become where we've been able to identify now as the globalist mindset.
Yeah.
You got to remember, the nationalist, globalist.
Yeah.
Okay? And what Trump needed was somebody to go in there and get rid of ISIS once and for all.
Which hopefully Mattis did, yeah.
Okay. Now, if you recall what the deal was to get rid of the ISIS, was to take no prisoners and kill them all, right? And then do that. Mattis circled so that there'd be no getting out.
Yeah.
And there was no such thing as an ISIS waving a white flag and coming out of there. It didn't matter. In fact, I recall seeing this one video. There was probably 150 ISIS in this room that had thought they'd surrender. Mm-hmm. Well, all of a sudden, that building's gone.
Yeah.
Okay, there was ISIS that were trying to escape in Iraq. There was 4 of them, I believe, I was watching on this deal. Well, they're white flag. I'm going to try to get to Iraq. They were ISIS. Boom, they're gone. So basically, it was no such thing as an ISIS escaping
Yeah.
without dying.
Well, you and I talked about that long before, right after Trump was elected, long before Mattis came into the picture.
Yeah.
And we talked about the fact that
Right.
you cannot deal with these people. You
No.
can't deal with them.
Well-
you eliminate them. That's the only, you don't have any other choice.
Well,
There is
Obama
none.
released out of Gitmo these ISIS leaders, these terrorist leaders. What do? Did they say, "Boy, I learned my lesson"? No, they went back and became ISIS leaders
There
again.
were lots of them
Yeah.
that did that.
Right.
A lot of them that did
So
that.
there's nothing to be gained by the normalcy of what we would think and how you handle them. You got to get rid of them.
There's, Gary, like you and I said, there was no choice. There was absolutely no other alternative,
Right.
except to eliminate these.
Well,
idiots.
and there was nobody better to take care of all that but
Than
Mattis,
Mattis, yeah.
right? But let's go back then and think about this. Mattis is a part of the globus, part of the war machine or warmonger, if you want to call it. And think about what that really is. If we go back, we can go back to World War I, but let's go back to World War II and then
Okay.
go forward. Okay, if you notice what the United States does, it goes in and saves these people with our own blood and money. Okay, we save these people, but did we get out? No, we don't come home. We stay there.
like Gary
Japan,
pointed out,
Korea,
since World War II,
Germany,
we're talking about
France.
70-something years ago,
Yeah.
and we're still there. We're still spending money paid for by the American people.
all of that comes out of the American taxpayer. So there's trillions of dollars that comes from America to protect what? And these countries become what? They become financially secure. They become rich nations, but they're rich nations, but they don't pay for their defense. We
No.
do. So what is it that America is sitting here paying for this rich guy's defense? It's like you sitting there. You got a guy here with a walled off, and he's got guards there in Fresno at a big house. He's a rich guy, but you're out here digging ditches. But by God, you're paying for the guard that goes there every
Perfect
midnight.
example. Perfect analogy.
You see, so what Trump says, no, that's not how we do this. What we do is we get out of there, and now we control it economically.
Exactly. And that money comes back to the American taxpayer.
That's right. And now instead of the American taxpayer coming out of his pocket, you there digging ditches but paying for that guy's century at midnight. No, that's done. He's got
Can
to
you
pay for
imagine the
himself.
trillions of dollars that we spent?
Well, it is
since
trillions.
World War II in Japan,
Right.
Just in Japan.
Well,
And look how wealthy they are now.
Can you imagine the people who are all part of a war machine, which is, look at the size of the Pentagon, for an example, who are getting absolutely billionaires out of that warmongering, as like the Bushes did in Iraq.
Like you said earlier, Gary, war makes money.
Makes money. Now look at when Bush decided to go into Iraq. That was part of the warmongering, war machine, and they used a false premise to go into Iraq.
Absolutely.
Trump was against it, and so were a lot of libtards against it.
Yeah.
But what happened now? Now, oh man, Trump's getting rid of Mathis. Now they're all
They're
criticizing.
all warmongers now.
Now they're
Yeah.
all warmongers. Why?
Go
Because
figure,
they
because-
don't like Trump.
Because
Why?
they
Because
don't
they're
like
being
Trump. It's all about Trump.
because they're being propagandized by the media owned by the warmongers. You see?
Why can't they see that?
I don't know.
It blows my mind.
Well, it
really
gets
does,
back
you
to
know.
that deal. I mean, it's impossible. It's totally impossible. If you have common sense, rationale, and it's impossible for you to be a liberal. And it's impossible for a liberal that doesn't have common sense and doesn't have rationale and doesn't have judgment, it's impossible for them to not be a liberal.
I had a girl at the gym the other day, and for the most part, I love those people at the gym. By the way, GB3 is just a great place to go. It's just a wonderful place. Anyway, but I had this girl come up to me the other day, and she poked me in the chest, and she says, "I hate Donald Trump." And I said, "Well, good for you. Bye." I'm not going to waste my time talking to somebody.
Well, you find after a while that you really don't want to waste your time.
They're such a minority, you know.
Well, they
if
really
if
are.
I get 20 comments on my Trump shirt, 19 of them are positive. I love it. I love it. I have people every single. I'm at the service station last night in Sanger, out by my mobile home place. After I left my mobile home place, This lady gets out of her car and comes over. Her husband's fueling, and she came over and stuck her hand out.
Oh, really?
And she said,
That's
she
awesome.
says, good for you, young
That's
man.
awesome.
It made me feel so good.
Oh,
And that
yeah.
happens all the time. It happens all the time. I love it.
Well, people are seeing that, but this Mattis deal, I don't have anything against Mattis, believe me. In fact, I'm glad we had a Mattis.
Oh, we needed him. I mean,
Yeah.
look at that. If for nothing else, for ISIS.
But
you
now
know?
we're into the next phase.
Yeah.
And that's the control by economics. It was what Trump used. Take Afghanistan
Good example.
as a perfect example. When will the American troops come home from Afghanistan? As soon as there's enough economic pressure on Pakistan, which Trump is doing right now, at that point there will be no longer American troops in Afghanistan.
Brilliant.
Okay.
It's just brilliant when you think about it. It really is. It's
Well,
brilliant.
let's take North Korea
A perfect example. China. In China.
and China. It's the same thing. Pakistan is to Afghanistan as China is to North Korea. Okay, we had rockets going up all over the place. Trump puts economic pressure on China. What happens?
No more rockets. No more rockets.
Trump's weapon is not tanks,
It's economics.
it's economics.
Brilliant. It's
But
just
he
brilliant.
needs the tanks to back up
Yeah.
his economics. it's
It's almost like just in case.
yeah, well,
yeah.
it's kind of like your dad never had to spank you, but he kept that strap up there on the wall.
That's a good example. And you always knew where it was.
Well, you knew there was a strap there. You know, that's one thing. That's one thing I had. What's that? Man, I tell you what, I never had to spank Ray. Really? No, I never did. What else? Oh, I had a strap hanging up there on the wall.
That's a great example.
Well, and that's the same thing that Trump is doing. He's got that strap on the wall because he wants the biggest, toughest military in the world. That's his strap on the wall, and I hope I never have to spank him.
That's what's produced so doggone many liberals today is not having that strap on the wall.
Exactly.
You know, not having that
Exactly.
strap on the
That's
wall. They
exactly-
say,
you got
You're
it.
right, Gary.
You got
know? That's what's produced so doggone many liberals, you know.
Well, that is what produces the liberal, because there's no accountability and no
Absolutely.
responsibility.
Absolutely.
If you don't have to be responsible for anything, and you don't have to be accountable for anything, well, hell, I can do anything I want.
Jeez.
It's pathetic,
And
you know.
and they give them absolutely. I told you the story. I don't know if I told it on my show about being in line at a grocery store and these two very tall, skinny African American boys, probably 19, 20 years old, with pants hanging off their butt, which I hate, and asking their mother for money.
Yeah.
And my thoughts were, why don't you go out and mow some lawns?
Oh, I know it.
Or do something.
Or do something. Wash somebody's car or
Yeah.
something. Yeah.
Instead of asking your mother for, and she said, honey, I can't give you any money. I have to pay my PG&E bill. I got to make
Yeah.
the house payment. I got to make the car payment. But they didn't understand that. All they thought of was, give me some money. That's lack of that strap.
Well, in the old days, kids would go work at other on farms and
Yeah.
milk cows for somebody and get paid. But guess what? They didn't keep the money. The money all came home and put it on the kitchen table.
I worked for my dad, and that was great. And he paid me a man's wages, but you know how it was with milking cows. We milked at 3 in the morning and 3 in the
Right.
afternoon. And if I wanted, and I made good money, I was just didn't know how to handle it, and I
Right.
spent it all the time, But if I wanted things in between time, if I wanted money in between time, shoot, I would go out to LeGrand and pick tomatoes,
Yeah.
or pick
Right.
peaches. I'd do something and make a little extra money,
Well, I
and
did
it taught
the
you
same as
great,
you did.
and you did the same thing.
Yeah, I'd
It
work
taught
at the
you-
cotton gin or something,
But Gary, what did it do? It taught you great
Well,
worth ethics.
at
man.
one time, I know in the Portuguese family, at one time when your kid got big enough to work, which was you were still pretty small, but whatever money you made, that all went back to the family.
Yeah,
Everybody, all the kids' money, they didn't get to keep the money.
Yeah.
They had to
yeah.
put it back. Anyway, that's a little severe, but that's the way it was. But one of the things that, Ray, that we want to keep in perspective, back to Trump and his economic, the number one thing, I'm not going to say far more, but greater than anything else, including deep state, including the wall, including infrastructure, and these other things. The number one thing that Trump wants is to get a trade agreement with China.
Absolutely.
That solves it all.
Absolutely.
And when you consider the Chinese, back when you can remember, They were wearing those Mao uniforms,
Mao
all
Zedong
gray.
back in the-
Yeah, Mao Zedong. And these people were all poor. They all not all, but I mean, look what happened to all the rich people in China. They got more billionaires than we do, right?
More billionaires than any place in the world,
Right.
or in China right now.
In China. Guess who did that? It
We
came
did.
off the backs of the American
Absolutely.
worker.
Absolutely.
There was 60 to 70,000 factories that we had in this country that all went under. We don't see it here in Fresno because we're ag, but they went under.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay, where did they go? They went to China. Now, is that fair to the American worker? No. And who is this American worker doing? He paid for that.
Gary, there was nothing that you could go out and buy that didn't say made in China.
Well,
everything, almost everything,
and
90% of what you bought. You know,
Well, see,
that's changing now.
Okay, now think about this as just an example. Okay, when Trump left office, there was 900 people, new jobs every month in the months, right?
Under the Obama administration.
Yeah, 900 jobs, new jobs.
Mm-hmm.
Trump has been averaging, since he's been president, 75,000 new jobs every month.
There you go.
Not a year, but every month.
There you
So
go.
what Trump is doing is taking it back to the American people and the American worker instead of making China rich.
Yeah.
Okay, why not American people? And this goes on and on in so many areas. We just signed a deal with Poland. 15% of their LNG is going to be now bought and supplied by the USA.
Oh, wow.
You know, and that's just Poland.
Yeah.
And that goes on and on. Now, think about this. Think about once we bring these people, our military, back, which is now built to be the strongest in the world.
Safe from Afghanistan.
Yeah, and from, Syria and so
Yeah.
forth. Okay, they're ready, but they're that strap on the wall. It's a little different ballgame
Yeah.
then, okay? And now how does these people get controlled? They get controlled by economics.
Sure.
Okay, what's his name? Yoon. He's seeing the advantage of being with a Trump as opposed to being with a China. Because being with a Trump, he could see how he can make his people great again. You see? Same thing with Mexico.
Exactly.
Mexico's got a communist president,
Yeah.
but he understands enough about economics to know that, man, we could become Mexicans great again.
And they can.
And he's for the wall. Now, he can't go out and say he's for the wall, but he's for the wall. Why is he for the wall so much? There's a number of reasons, but one big reason is it'll stop the flow of drugs into the U.S., which is going to stop the flow of money to the cartel and cabal,
Yeah.
drug cabals. Okay, then what can he do? Now, if they dry up their money, he now can control the drugs in
Yeah.
his country.
Yeah.
Okay, and now Trump insisted that he raise the minimum wage of all the workers in Mexico, with the idea that it reaches a point there is no incentive for a Mexican
them to come
to
here.
the United
Exactly.
States. Why shouldn't it be that
Yeah.
way? I talked to a lot of Mexicans that came from Mexico because I've worked in ag, and you got all that. There's not a one of them that wouldn't, if given the choice, wouldn't. If he could make the same money he's making here and do
Why
it
would
at
they
home,
come here? Sure, they want to be home.
and
Yeah.
Mexico's a beautiful country anyway.
is.
I
Sure
mean, there's
is.
nothing here that. What's the advantage?
Yeah.
Other than that, they'd all rather be home.
Yeah.
You see, and so it'll take time, but I think that if this works out the way it kind of looks like, you're going to find Mexico becoming a very wealthy country someday.
I think you're right.
Okay,
Yeah.
why shouldn't they? Because they got all the resources anyway,
yeah.
and they got the best labor in the world,
The potential's there for
and
them
they
to be
got the best
super great.
labor in the world.
Sure.
Okay, you know what Mexico's doing? They're fortifying their southern border with a wall. In other words, they don't want those people coming into their country any more than we want those people coming into our country.
Yeah.
Okay, but why do the globalists and so forth? Why do they oppose something like that? Why would you oppose national security, and why would you want criminals in your city, crime and all that? Why would you want that? It's because they've been propagandized,
And they're voters.
and they're voters. That's why the Democrats want them.
Sure. Yeah.
You know, I tell you what, I was surprised. Valadao voted against the wall.
Yeah.
I'm
was too.
so glad he's not going back.
I am too.
Yeah,
That really shocked me.
Yeah,
That really did.
I got a kick out of Nancy Pelosi. You know, she kept telling Trump they were in this interview deal with the press was there. She didn't like that, but she kept telling Trump, "You don't have the votes in the House. You don't have it." Pro says, "I think I do." She said, "Nope, you don't have the votes in there." Oh man, she was emphatic about it.
Oh yeah.
Well, the votes came, and Trump did have the votes in the House. You see, and he's going to win on this wall deal. Don't worry about that.
Oh yeah. I could see that happening easily.
The worst thing that could happen to Democrats is that they do shut the government down.
You think that's going to happen, Gary?
I don't know. It doesn't matter to me one way or another. In fact, why should it doesn't? I mean, if they're not essential, why were they hired to begin with?
Absolutely.
That's the way I look at it. Oh, that's just going to affect the non-essential. Well, if they're non-essential, why hire them in the first place?
I heard a lady say this morning. She said, and I was in line at a store, and I heard her say, "Well, the only people it's gonna hurt is the poor people. They don't care because the people in government are making money anyway, so they don't care about the poor people." So it's I thought,
oh hell, I've been hearing that since I was since I learned English.
And I wanted to say, keep on listening to CNN, keep on reading the Wall Street Journal, keep on reading the Boston Globe, keep reading those, you know.
But anyway, I get a kick out of that. Nancy Pelosi, boy, she was you don't have the votes. You don't, and he had the votes. I mean, he's way ahead of. He's always one step ahead. One step ahead.
They're gonna wake up one of these days and realize that they can't play the game with him.
No,
you know they want to try. So that, and they get desperate and they do absolutely idiotic things. You know.
Well, and they do idiotic things. Of course, idiots believe it. So then I mean, it's productive in the sense that now, why do you say idiotic things? Because I got enough idiots to listen to me. That's why.
That's right. That's absolutely right. I love
it. Makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. Gary, we're going to take a little break here. And we're going to be back, ladies and gentlemen, pay a few bills. We're going to take a little break. And by the way, thank you so much. I am so happy to be back. I'm glad Gary's here with me today. And it's just good to be back. When I'm not here, I don't feel good. Well, I'm here today, and ladies and gentlemen, I feel good.
Well, we're having fun.
We're having fun, like we always do. We're going to take a little break here, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in, let's say, 2 and 2.
And I won't forget the men who died, who gave that right to me, and I'm gladly stand.
Okay, I'm back. I'm back with Gary. We're discussing all kinds of things, mainly what's happening in the cabinet with General Mattis and all the shakeup. And I've been getting a lot of calls. I had several texts already, some of them from my friends, some of them from my associates, some people that I do business with, because everybody seems to think that, especially the liberals, that this is a bad move. Believe me, it is not.
No, in fact,
it's a necessary move.
Yeah, it's a necessary move, unless you want to continue to have wars all over.
Unless you can, you want to continue to have our money go someplace that it shouldn't go.
Exactly. You know? Right. And if you'll notice, what does that mean? Well, Trump is soft with military. No, he's building the strongest military the United States ever had, and spending the money to do it.
You know,
but
I just want to say this. I just want to say this. You know, like I walked in to get gas last night at a service station where I told you that lady came up to me, and Gary, the gas was $2.79. And so when I went in to get the gas, the guy he owned the station, and he was sitting there, and he said, "I like your shirt," and I said, "Thank you very much." I said, "I like your gas prices," and he said, "They kind of go together, don't they?" I said, "You doggone right they do."
Yeah.
You know.
Well, here's the thing. If it was up to Trump, we'd be paying for gas like you do in Oklahoma, $1.59.
Isn't that amazing? I told you when I went back.
It's California that puts.
When I went back to Oklahoma and we pulled in this gas station, I thought it was an old closed gas station. You know how you drive around, and you see a gas station way out in the country someplace here in California, and it's still got the sign that says $1.50 and it's been closed for 20 years.
Yeah.
That's what I thought when I went to Oklahoma. And I told my buddy Bob, I said, "Is this place open?" He goes, "Yeah." I said, and he started laughing. He says, "You're thinking about the prices, aren't you?"
Yeah.
It's unreal.
I remember.
And what does that tell you when we've got all these refineries out here?
Well,
you know,
of course, it tells you that liberals control it.
Yeah.
And they don't want you, or they want to take as much money out as they can. But here's the deal: you want to think about what's going to be happening. Is there's going to be pipeline of fuel coming out of Mexico And these Californians and Oregon, these libtards up and down the states are going to be left out. And,
Absolutely.
But it's going to be on, a burden is on us, and it should not be. Why should California, because of the prosperity, it should be the least expensive gas, not the most.
Look at all the refineries. We've got everything right here. You're right. It should be the least. We should be paying less than what they're paying in Oklahoma.
Well, it's insane. You know, I wanted to talk, Ray, about the stock market because this affects
Let's do that.
everybody.
Let's do that.
And I'm going to come up with some things that I want you to,
Okay.
come back out with me on that. Okay, I had a guy the other day, and it just hit me when he said that. He come over and he said, of course, he knew that I fool around with that, right? Mm-hmm. And anyway, he come over and he said, boy, he says, my 401k is really getting hammered. And I said, well, you and everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. He says, yeah. And I said, why? He looked at me like, what do you, it shocked him.
Yeah.
That I asked the question, why, and I never said another thing, I just waited for him. And he says, well, he said, it's gone down. I says, I'm going to ask you again, why? I says, for this reason. Think about it. I said, do you have your 401k with a financial planner or a money manager? Well, yeah. I says, how often do you meet with them? Well, he says, well, why would I be with him once a year? Mm-hmm. I said, okay. And the reason why I asked why is why didn't your money manager get you out of the market when it was time to get out of the market?
What did he say to that?
He says,
he probably didn't know.
No, well, he doesn't. I says, why do you waste your time to even go see him once a year if that's all it is? Because what I'm telling you is there is a timing device that he would have known when the market got at a certain point for you to get out.
Yeah.
But he didn't take you out. Why? Because he doesn't know when to take you out. Mm-hmm. Okay? He doesn't know even, when or where to take you out. Okay? Now, multiply that all over the country.
Oh, my goodness.
And so what happens is people don't realize the real blame for not getting out when they should is not anything but the money manager that's managing your money. Why are you paying him all that? And he said, well, I hadn't looked at it that way. And I says, well, let me ask you this: is there any other way to look at it? Now that I ask you that question, why? Now think about this, Ray. These people, the money manager and the planner, they don't know any more than you do.
Yeah.
But they have the certificates on the wall. It's all a scam. You know what I mean?
I absolutely love
it.
They
got degrees.
Sure.
And they got all this stuff, right? And you go in there and because I've done that. I've had people ask me to go with them to meet with a financial planner. I could tell in a heartbeat this financial planner doesn't know a thing.
Yeah.
Diddly. Mm-hmm. And so, we meet there, and I'll ask them a few questions, which has given me the answer, whether they realize it or not, that he doesn't know anything about anything, okay, other than they all got a nice suit, a nice tie, and all those, they paper the wall with those certificates and degrees, right? And so I always get asked this, well, on the way home, well, what'd you think about my planner? I always give them the same answer. Man, he's a real nice guy or a real nice woman.
Yeah.
And I try to leave it at that.
And deep down you're going,
oh man, this guy doesn't know diddly, but they meet once a year. But here's the thing that a lot of people don't understand or realize. Let's take a course of 30-year career, and you now have a retirement, and you now retire, and you got X amount of dollars in there. Mm-hmm. Okay, how much of that went to fees and commissions?
A ton of it.
I'll tell you how much. You get 50%, and they get 50%.
Oh my gosh!
So let's say you.
There was that much.
I know it, and there's a reason why you don't know, because nobody wants you to know.
Yeah, and they're certainly not going to tell you.
And they're not going to tell you. So let's say you had a good retirement. You retired. You got $300,000 in your retirement.
Mm-hmm.
I guarantee you that retirement started, or should it be, $600,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, if that planner is any good, he'd get you the 600, and then he'd make a little more, and then cover his fees.
Sure.
But I'm telling you, the average person, retirement they all know what it is. Double it. That's what it should be.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not, because they end up over the course of the time. They, meaning the money, the companies,
Yeah.
and all that. It ends up, there was 50% of your retirement that went to fees and commissions.
Sure.
And it's the biggest scam in the world.
Sure it is.
Okay, that started back, with the 401ks. You go back to George Bush to a lot of this, one world order, globalists, and
Sure.
all that. It all goes back into that. And so what I told this guy, I said, now look, I said, there's nobody to blame for you losing money in your retirement. You don't blame the president. You don't blame the bank. You don't blame any of that. You know who you blame? You blame yourself.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And the real reason why you're losing money is because your money manager didn't get you out. And the real reason why he didn't get you out, because he didn't know any better.
Yeah.
And the reason why he didn't know better, because they don't want him to know any better.
So he just does the same thing he does all the time, like everyone else.
Wears a tie, puts on a suit,
has his degree on the wall.
Yeah, and papers his wall with degrees and certificates.
Yeah.
But he doesn't know a thing. Okay? Think about that. And then you say, well, wait a minute, well, then why are you losing money?
Yeah.
Why are you in the market right now? Yeah. Well, don't tell me how smart your planner is or your money manager is, because he's not very smart.
I know someone who made an investment years ago, and she has not made a dime on her investment. About once a year, they give them a free dinner, They do. They give them a free dinner at some big fancy restaurant on the money that they've made for all their clients. They
Right.
do. Like one time it was at Ruth Chris. And I think once a year, they give them a free lunch where they have them bring all their papers over and they shred the papers. They're shredded. It's a shredding lunch in there or something. And they give them a free lunch, right? That's all that I know of that she's made off this investment in years. How ridiculous,
Well, it's the shearing of the sheep,
Sure it is.
And there's nothing more easier to shear than a liberal.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell you that. Boy, they're just, oh, man, you know how emotional they are.
Yeah.
Man, she gets that free dinner. That's all she thinks about.
Well, thank goodness she's not a liberal anymore, but she's still getting taken.
Still getting sheared.
Yeah, she still hadn't made any money off that investment that she made years ago.
But no, if you take the average person with a 401k, what they end up with after their retirement is the value of that 401k should have been doubled.
Yeah.
But that went, of the total amount, 50%. Okay, let's say 300,000. 300,000, they got 300,000, whatever company they're with and so forth got over the course of the years, okay? So what the answer to that? Well, the answer to that, unfortunately, is you're not going to learn any of that in school. I don't care how many colleges, Harvards, or whatever you go to.
It doesn't matter.
Right?
You're right, Garrett.
Okay, what it matters, and there's people that do that, it matters for you to take and do the diligence yourself. Okay, I'm going to use an example.
Okay.
I got a friend of mine who is a retired Navy. Now, he's not retired officer. He's none of that. He was just a seaman on a boat, right? And he retired, but he understood this about the market. And he says the market goes up, and when it gets at a certain point, then he gets out, but he doesn't sell it, short it. He doesn't understand that. He sells it. Okay, so let's say he has 1,000. She starts with 1,000 shares. The market goes up, okay, and he gets out, but he'll wait. And then he sees it come down, and now it's time to buy in his mind. He takes the profit. Now he has 2,000 shares.
Sure.
Come down. Now he has 3,000. Actually, he has 4,000 shares. And he's been doing that, and the guy's a millionaire.
Sure.
And what was his vocation? Sitting on a boat
He doesn't have any
scrubbing
degrees
the deck.
on his wall, does he?
Oh, I don't even know if he probably graduated high school.
Jeez.
But the point
There
is
you
that
go.
isn't the point. The point is that he took the responsibility for his own benefit.
Exactly.
And he took it to determine his own destiny. And he did, he had sense enough that when the market gets high, now there's programs out there that'll tell you when to get out,
Yeah.
or where to get out. But you're not going to get them on the internet. You're not going to
No.
you're not going to get them anywhere like that because people with those programs aren't going to put them anywhere.
No.
But the point is, now I called this guy and he asked me if I do that. Was last summer I was talking to him. I said, yeah, because the market was time to buy last summer, in July, and I said, yeah, I'll do that. I'll let you know. And so it came October, and I got a signal to sell, And I called him. I said, hey, you do what you want, but what I'm observing right now is time to get out of the stock market for a while.
Yeah.
I said, it could go higher. I don't know that, but right now it looks like it's going to be going down. And that was in October. Well, he had already started, he didn't take a lot of convincing. In fact, he didn't take any. He says, well, thank you. You verify what I've been thinking. And he did. Now think where he's at now. Remember, he got out here. Now look where it is now. Look what he could buy now.
Oh, yeah.
With the profit he had
Sure.
had here, now look what he could buy now.
Yeah.
See,
Smart
that's the
move,
key
isn't
to
it?
it. Okay.
It goes back to what you and I say all the time
Yeah.
on the show, doing your own due diligence, finding
right.
out yourself, as opposed to
Well,
relying on someone else.
Well, you have these people always preach this buy and hold, buy and hold. That is wrong. You know that in 1929 the market crashed. Let's say you buy and hold, and you held it. You know you had to wait till 1952 before you got even?
That led right into the Depression. That was the reason for the
Well, the
Depression.
point
Yeah,
is, my point I'm trying to make is you don't buy and hold. There's times to get in and there's times to get out. People talk about Warren Buffett. Oh, they're just disciples of this Warren Buffett. Do you know that one of the biggest traders of things is Warren
Sure.
Buffett? He doesn't sit there with a company and hold for forever. Now, he preaches that
Yeah.
because he wants you to be in that company.
They don't see it.
But that's not what he does. I find out he's one of the he trades it. Well, and I say trades. Well, I don't understand how to be a trader. Well, you can understand it. I don't care. It doesn't take a mental giant to figure out certain things that if you go in and just learn a little
Yeah.
bit. But see, the idea is to keep the people stupid. Why? Because there's going to be people that don't know anything that you think know something who are just as stupid as you are, but by God,
I love it. I absolutely love it.
but they convince you that they're smart.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
Now, why is it? You ever hear anybody complain about their financial manager or money manager when the market goes down? I never have.
No.
I'll hear them complain about the president or
Oh, yeah.
complain about Wall Street.
They'll put it somewhere else. They always put it someplace else. Always.
And so I bring that up because I think people are. I'm having some people even asking me, about because they know I fool with it. He says, Gary, he says, they asked me this because I got a signal, I got a system, right?
Yeah.
And it took me like it does everybody else, but we don't put them on the internet.
No, of
Nobody's
course you
going to
don't.
do
Why
that.
would you?
Okay, so anyway, this guy asked me. He says, when is this market going to bottom out? I said, I never know when, but I always know where.
Oh, my goodness.
You see, why do I know where? Because I do get a signal,
Sure.
but I don't know if it's going to come in February, March, June.
You have
or,
no idea.
or even what year. I just
Like you just know, like you said.
I never know when,
But you just know.
but I
where.
always know where. And so anyway, that's the way it is with the people that are doing that way. So, and people do develop this, and it's not that you can look at a chart. I mean, just you don't have to be accurate. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Just be, man, it's hitting up here. It started here, but it's now hitting this line here. Maybe
Yeah.
I ought to get out. Well, maybe a little bit too soon. Maybe it went on here, but guess what? It didn't go back down here.
Yeah.
You see. So it's not trying to pick a top or pick a bottom. It's just trying to pick a cycle.
Yeah.
And if you
Because
got
everything's in cycle with this.
well, everything in the world's been in cycles forever. Everything's a cycle.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, you got 1,000-year cycles and you got 10-second cycles.
Yeah.
But anyway, I wanted to bring that up because
I'm glad you did, Gary.
yeah, because I think
Very good point
people
for one
should
thing.
understand that who's to blame if they're blaming, and they're all going to blame. Nobody's going to blame themselves. They're all going to say, "Well, President Trump screwed up, or
Oh, of
Wall
course.
Street did this." But let's talk about that for a moment about Wall Street and Main Street.
Yeah, let's Wall Street and Main Street. I love these two terms.
And the thing is, we have been a Wall Street globalists for the last, say, 30, 40 years.
Sure.
Everything gone to Wall Street. Everything was built around that. That's why we had 60, 70,000 factories leave.
Yeah.
It was, America was to become a service country, which means paper, which means Wall Street, which means globalists.
Yeah.
Okay? But it doesn't mean American people,
No.
because they're not going to benefit. In fact, they're going to be penalized.
Yeah.
Okay, so we go and we build China and we build Wall Street and we got all these trillionaires. Why is Trump being so vilified right now by all the media and everything else? It's because the trillionaires, and there's trillions at stake. When I say trillionaires, I mean collectively. There's trillions at stake,
Of course it is.
and it's all on Wall Street. So think of it like this, Ray. Think of a train leaving San Diego. Let's think of two trains. One's Main Street, and one's Wall Street, and they're heading for Seattle. Okay? Now, they're both together parallel, but as time goes on, one train starts drifting off to the right and gets further and further and further apart. Okay, this one is Wall Street. This one is Main Street.
Street.
And this is what happened to America. Way off course. Okay? Trump comes along and says, wow, this is out of whack. So what does he do? He gets a train that's Main Street,
Brings it back.
and he slows this one down.
That's what teeing off all the globalists, yeah.
Yeah, and that's
Sure.
what, and so they fight that because there's trillions involved.
course.
But where's the trillions gone with Trump? The trillions now are being shifted and going to Main Street.
Yeah.
Okay, what Main Street do? They manufacture and they make things, sell things, and what happens is the profits go up, right? But it's not stock profits going up. It's actually making something, selling it at a profit.
Yeah.
Right? So that goes up. You know that the wages that workers are earning now, it's the first time in I don't know how many years that they're actually increasing.
Wow.
In the past, how is it that the wages kept kind of basically with inflation being factored? How is the wages, let's just say, remain the same, and you have Wall Street go from 7,000 to 20-some thousand? Does that make sense?
It makes none whatsoever.
And the wage earner is still here at 7,000.
Yeah.
Why is he still at 7,000 and the billionaires are up here at 20-some thousand, 26,000, 25,000? So Trump says, no, we're going to end that. What we're going to do is bring this down and this up. So when the stock market goes down, okay, it's to your benefit. Unless you have your money in a 401k with a stupid money manager. All right? But it's the American people that benefit when I say American people, the average worker, let's call it, okay, his value goes up as the market comes down. So I look at it and I'm saying every time the market goes down, I say, man, America won today.
Yeah.
America won today. The American worker won
See,
today.
the average Joe out there doesn't know this. He doesn't understand this. Good point, Gary.
Well, he doesn't understand for only one reason. That's because it's not taught. It's
Yeah.
because the opposite is being taught.
Sure.
And it's because he has to sit there and turn on his TV and sit there and watch CNN lie to him.
Yeah.
They all lie to him.
Well, of course they
all
do.
right? But that's why he doesn't understand that. Well, I wouldn't understand it either, and neither would you unless we did some research. Okay, because if this is Main Street's going up, who's that benefiting? It's benefiting all
Everybody.
Americans.
Yeah.
Okay, Wall Street's going up. Who's that benefiting?
Benefiting the-
They figured only
Wall
about
Street.
8,000 people that are the billionaires.
Oh, well, yeah.
You see? So at whose expense? It's right off our back. China
Absolutely.
built off our back. Germany, Japan,
Japan.
France, any country
Yeah.
off our back. of the American taxpayer, which means the American worker. Every country. And now you have to ask yourself, how rich would America be?
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. I know what you're going to say, and you're right. It's amazing.
You know.
It goes back to when I told you a few shows back about looking at a baseball and said, I'm such an American. I'm such a patriot. And I'm thinking, made in China? There's nothing more American than Mom, apple pie, the flag, and baseball. And baseball made in China? I don't think so. I don't want to play with a baseball made in China.
Well, we see how rich Arabs are, like Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, I don't know. You look over there. I had some friends of mine that was a teacher over there, you know. God, these people, they got a heck of a deal. Mm-hmm. But all that is sand.
Yeah.
And we could be rich. We should be rich like Arabs and never have to ride a camel.
Gosh, I love it.
You know what? They stopped riding camels too. They're riding Mercedes Benz.
Well, heck yeah. This is totally off kilter, but Gary said that, and I was just reading an article the other day that the two-hump camel's going out of business. It's becoming extinct. So there's some big liberal agency out there to save the two-hump camel.
I mean, isn't that so incredible? Yeah. But no, if the public was taught in school. See, we're taught that we're not capable of more than anything. I don't care. You turn out to be a very outstanding electrical engineer down the road, a PhD and all that. But you're somehow at an early age taught to believe you just can't handle finances. That's supposed to be some kind of a mystery. Ray, it's not a mystery. It goes up and it goes down. All you got to do is timeless, and you don't have to be that accurate.
Comes back to what you and I said a lot of times on this show. If you're told something enough, you believe it. It becomes a fact. It becomes reality. Your reality.
Well, let's say you got out of the market in September instead of October. That's fine. Mm-hmm. Let's say you got out of the market in November instead of October. Well, that isn't all that bad either. Mm-hmm. But you certainly saved. But how about if you stayed the whole time? Where are you right now? It makes that getting out in September maybe a little early, but look pretty good.
Yeah.
Right? Or getting out in November. Oh, I was a little late, but it looks pretty good. Mm-hmm. That's my point.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be that accurate.
Yeah.
But there are things that will lead you to a better accuracy. Let's say.
Yeah.
But
I'm glad you brought this point up. It's a very, very important thing.
Well, just think about it now. Anybody with a 401k. What is the reason why they're losing money is because they're still in the market. Now, who didn't get them out? Their planner.
Sure.
But who else didn't get them out? You didn't get yourself.
They didn't get themselves out.
Yeah. And in reality, they don't need a planner.
Yeah.
The real reality of it.
It's like your Navy friend.
Yeah, like my Navy
Perfect
friend.
example.
And so I use that as a good example because he does not have a PhD in finances from Harvard. He didn't even go to college. He didn't need that.
Yeah.
All he ever did was scrub the decks on a carrier, right? But
now he's a multi. Go figure.
Yeah, because he understood the value of that. And now, if he can do it, can anybody do it?
Absolutely, they can.
Yeah, they just have to believe they can.
Yeah.
And see, what I would teach a kid in school, starting in kindergarten, even man. I teach them how to a piggy bank, and you save your money, and then you understand how that doubles and this and that. But explain it. And
it's something that certainly should be. Economics should be taught at a very early age.
A personal finances like that, and what interest is, what it really is, and what happens when it compounds. These are not. We're not talking about the subjects in school that are tough.
Yeah.
I mean,
that are important.
Algebra is much tougher than that.
Yeah.
Physics and chemistry.
Yeah.
And, some of the classes, botany or biology, some of those courses are much more harder to get through and learn than what we're talking about here.
And this is so necessary.
Because that's the most important thing for you to have is financial security,
Guess what, Gary?
And
Like it happens every week. Like every time we get this guy on, man, the time just flies back. He's my only guest that the time just flies back, and it's happened again.
well, thank you, Ray.
And we need you to come back next week if you can.
yeah.
We're
Oh,
going to
yeah,
be
we'll
here.
be here.
I have missed you guys. I'm so glad I'm back. And like I say every week, and this thing is really catching on. It's come full circle now. When you see a law enforcement officer, please take time, go up, shake his hand, tell him what a great job they do, because they do a wonderful job of protecting us and serving us. And they're wonderful men, women, all ethnicities. They do a great job. We've got a great police force here in Fresno, highway patrolmen, FBI. I ran into a friend of mine that I hadn't seen for years. We're going to have lunch next week. He's an FBI agent, just retired.
Oh, really?
Wonderful guy, just wonderful guy. So, hey, Fernando, I hope you're watching. He said he's going to watch today. I hope you're watching. Good job, buddy. And go up and shake their hands. Make them feel good. Tell them how much we appreciate them, because we really, really do. So hopefully everything will go okay, and we will see you again, like I say, every single Friday until we meet again joyously next Friday at 3 p.m. Heaven's blessings.
God bless the USA.
CentralValleyTalk.com